Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamitam Shram He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Takta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhavevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Krishna Paraya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, welcome to our Thursday session. So today we'll be discussing the very wonderful pastime of the appearance of Lord Jagannath and how Lord Jagannath manifests in this material world. It's a very sweet pastime. I'll warn you, it's a little long in detail, but hopefully will be fulfilling and satisfying our curiosity as we prepare for Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra coming up in a little over 1 week. We have the most glorious Lord Jagannath Rath Yatra. Who's excited for Rath Yatra? Everyone? Alright. So this hopefully will enthuse us even more to celebrate Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra. So by the request of Mr. Yashraga Priya Prabhu and Mataji Jamakrita Mataji, they've asked that we have this discussion. We do it every year. I have the same narration of the appearance of Lord Jagannath, and somehow it is very fulfilling. So we'll enjoy. There's actually my father, my mother, myself, my wife, and a few other devotees. We had the great fortune of hearing this narration from His Holiness Bhakti Ashraya Vaishnava Maharaj on the way to Jagannath Puri. Wow. It was a very sweet, we were on a train, we were all situated in one cabin, and Maharaj was just narrating, and we didn't want it to end. It was an overnight train. We thought, oh, we have overnight to hear nectarian katha, so we'll try to repeat what we heard and share this glorious pastime. There are different variations of this pastime, and they come in different Puranas, specifically the Skanda Purana primarily. But it's a very, very wonderful. So, Lord Jagannath, we know that when we first take darshan of Lord Jagannath, what do we think? Or what are the first thoughts that come to our mind when we first see Lord Jagannath? What is our experience? Huh? They look different.
Yes.
Right? And so we don't need to be shy. We may not want to, but they look different. Right? What don't we see?
Hands are.
We don't see arms. We don't see legs. We see a very unique form, right? So, we'll understand today the very special nature of this form, actually, and how it is actually one of the most powerful forms. But you'll not see this form described in any Shastra. This form of Lord Jagannath is not described in any place. And we'll see why as we begin the discussion. You want? Huh? Okay. So, when Krishna left Vrindavan, he left Vrindavan as a young boy and he went to Mathura. And from there he promised to all the devotees of Vrindavan, I'll be back, I'll be back. But actually after a long time, he did not come back. So he was being missed very severely by all the residents of Vrindavan. So once Krishna from Dwarka went to take all of the residents of Dwarka to observe the eclipse at Kurukshetra. And there, the residents of Vrindavan thought, Krishna will likely come from Dwarka to Kurukshetra. So let us go from Vrindavan to also observe the eclipse in Kurukshetra. And from there we will be able to see our Lord Krishna. So this was the great plan of the residents of Vrindavan, particularly Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, the gopis, all the cowherd boys. They were all looking to see. Hare Krishna. Okay. So they were all looking to see and have darshan of their beloved Lord Krishna. So one thing that was very peculiar to the queens of Dwarka, Krishna had 16,108 queens in Dwarka. And they each were serving Krishna with extraordinary love and facilities. Royal palaces, wonderful foodstuffs, so many servants, great facilities they had to serve Krishna. And they would serve Krishna day and night. Yet, the queens of Dwarka were always wondering, when Krishna is deep in his sleep, he's always calling out to his devotees from Vrindavan. And they're thinking, his mind is there, but his body is here. He's always thinking of Vrindavan. We are serving him with so much enthusiasm. What they must have been doing in their service to him, that still many years later, his heart is in Vrindavan. So the queens were always wondering, but they were not wondering out of envy, thinking, oh, why is it mine and he should be with me? They were thinking, wow, how they must have been serving Krishna so nicely in Vrindavan that Krishna is loving that. And they thought, maybe we can serve Krishna like that also. So he was out of the mood of appreciation, respect for the great service of the devotees of Vrindavan. So when the queens of Dwarka, when they reached Kurukshetra, they saw all the gopis, all the elderly residents of Vrindavan. They thought, ooh, this is our chance. Now we can maybe hear directly from the mouths of those who were there what Krishna was doing in his childhood, how he was relating with all of his devotees in such a way that still he is relishing those pastimes. So they began to make a plan. Who can we ask? Well, of course they cannot ask Krishna. He will not tell. Balaramji will not tell. So Mother Yashoda should not tell. They were debating who was going to tell. So finally they found the perfect person. And that was Mother Rohini. Since Mother Rohini was there in Vrindavan before Krishna and Balaram came, she was right next to Mother Yashoda observing all the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. So she would have the best account and eyewitness, right? Direct, no translations. As it is, she had it. So they thought, okay, let us ask Mother Rohini to give us a katha. What Krishna did in Vrindavan that was so sweet. So all the gopis, 16,100, you can imagine, they arranged a big tent. But they knew they had to have it very quietly. Because Krishna will come and disturb the whole thing if he finds out. So they had a top secret meeting. He was not invited in the WhatsApp group when they posted the message in the location. And so they made a tent. They closed it on all sides. Nice vyasasana, nice stage, flowers, decorations. They seated Mother Rohini. And all the 16,108 queens were seated. But they had one challenge. They said, we're all seated here. Who is going to guard the door? Because if we start this katha and if Krishna and Balaram come, they'll disturb everything. And then our opportunity here will be lost. So they need to pick a guard. But which of the queens was going to go out and miss the katha? Nobody. Anybody wants to raise that service? We'll ask Mother Subhadra. She's sister. She doesn't need to hear the pastimes of her brothers. She already knows. We'll ask her to sit. Plus, it had the second benefit, double benefit. If any other person told Krishna and Balaram to come, stop, they'll not listen. But if Mother Subhadra says, they have to listen to sister. So she's a powerful guard. So they thought, wow, we used our intelligence. So they set Mother Subhadra outside, closed the door, locked it, double locked chain, made sure all the windows were closed, everything was sealed. And there, Mother Subhadra is just looking. And Mother Rohini began to speak. Now, Mother Subhadra is standing outside and hours are passing. She's wondering, what's going on? Not one sound is coming from inside. Nobody's moving, shifting their feet, yawning, getting up, stretching. Everybody is just in a trance, fixed in hearing what is going on. So they're wondering, what such nice things Mother Rohini is speaking that nobody can even think to move or think about being thirsty or hungry. Nothing. Everybody is just captured. So then Mother Subhadra found one small hole in the tent. Okay, let me just hear. So she put her ear, and there Mother Rohini was discussing how Krishna and Balaram, they would go and steal the butter from the neighboring gopis. And the gopis would think they would catch Krishna, and they would grab him by the hand and take him to Mother Yashoda. And when Mother Yashoda opened the door, whose hand that gopi would have? Her own child's hand. And Krishna would be sitting inside saying, "Who, me? Oh, me?" And like this, Krishna would perform so many cute pastimes, heroic pastimes, all kinds of wonderful activities. So Mother Rohini is speaking, and Mother Subhadra is hearing, and just goes into ecstasy, ecstatic mood. Now, whenever there is Krishna Katha, whenever there is a discussion of the Supreme Lord, who always comes? Narada Muni. But Krishna himself, he is always present. So as this Katha was coming, of course, Krishna and Balaram are walking down the road, making their way to the tent. And they come right up to Mother Subhadra. They say, "Mother Subhadra, what are you doing?" Just shh, quiet. We're not realizing these are the two she's supposed to be protecting. What is this that's happening to her? She won't be. Mother Subhadra, quiet. And then so Krishna and Balaram thought, what is she listening to? Her ear is glued to this tent. Something nice must be coming from there. So they found 2 more holes. Right next. One on one side, one on the other. So Lord Balaramji and Lord Krishna, they come. And they start to hear. And they are hearing their own pastimes. Krishna's pastimes are so sweet that he himself enjoys them. And Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra, they all went into ecstasy. And we know, when we become shocked, we right? Like we become big expression. Our expressions change. Right? If you take a picture, you say, oh, that was a funny face. Something, when some surprise happens, something, right? Our expression changes. So actually, Krishna, Lord Balaram, and Mother Subhadra, they began to go into ecstasy, hearing these sweet, sweet pastimes. And their eyes became very, very big. And the limbs of their body began to retract in. They were just in so much happiness and bliss. And they were in this very unique state. And of course, when anything interesting is happening spiritually, who always comes? Narada Muni. So Narada Muni was flying above and he saw, this is a new darshan. I have not seen Krishna like this. What is going on? So he comes down. And he's observing Lord Krishna, Balaram, and Mother Subhadra glued to the tent in this ecstatic mood of happiness. And so Narada Muni says, Krishna, Balaram, Subhadra, what's going on? And they're like, shh. But then they realize, oh, somebody has come. And they became aware of their situation. So immediately they peel away from the tent. They resume their normal form. And Narada Muni is asking, what is going on? And Krishna, it's just some confidential things. He says, you saw? Narada Muni says, yes, I saw. But you didn't take any pictures, right? You didn't document? No selfies? Nothing? Not on Facebook yet? Okay, good. It's okay you saw, but this is a little bit personal, intimate pastime. We're in very ecstatic mood, but please don't discuss it anymore. So, when you want to get a promise from somebody, you have to bribe them, give them something, right? So Krishna tells Narada Muni, okay, Narada Muni, you ask me any benediction, any boon you want, but you have to keep this quiet. Don't tell anyone. So Narada Muni says, okay. You'll give me anything I want? Krishna says, how many boons I've given you? You've never asked me to confirm. Of course I'll give. Why are you asking? He said, no, I want to hear again. Yes, Narada Muni, I'll give you what you want. So what Narada Muni has? Narada Muni says, the boon I want, that this darshan I just saw, I want the whole world to see. Krishna said, oh, Narada Muni, I gave you boons and not tell anyone, and now you're asking for this? Krishna is always being defeated by the love of his devotees. So higher than Krishna's will is the will of his devotee. He may not want to show, but because Narada Muni's great desire for all of us to see this very special darshan, Krishna shows. It shows how powerful the love of the devotees are. Although Krishna is inconquerable, right? He is always conquered by the love of his devotees. So Krishna said, okay, I'll not show right now, but I'll show coming up. When a time in Kali Yuga, when people are so lazy that they cannot even take to the Yuga Dharma of chanting the holy names of the Lord, I'll manifest this unique form that you have seen. And just by coming into the vision of this form, one will achieve perfection of life. And I'll also give abundant prasadam. Yes, people may not want to chant, they may not want to read, but nobody says no to prasadam. So I'll give so much prasadam. And by this prasadam, I'll purify the hearts. And thus they can take to the Yuga Dharma. So being so merciful, I'll give this benediction. But it'll come in the future, not now. So you be patient. So Narada Muni was very pleased. This form, when Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra were expressing this mood of ecstasy, we understand in the whole Krishna Leela, 125 years there, that they were the absolute happiest time. They were the most ecstatic. In separation from their devotees, hearing from the pure devotee Mother Rohini about their pastime, they went into this ecstasy. This is the happiest expression that we get. And we know when someone is very happy when we meet them, they become very generous. So Lord Jagannath bestows generous amounts of blood. Different. It actually represents this moment when they were hearing from Mother Rohini about their pastimes. So how this form then came to be. So many millenniums later, there was a king in at the time he was the king of Avanti, current day Ujjain, and his name was King Indradyumna, and his queen was Queen Gundicha. They were great devotees. Like many of the kings of that era, they were devotees. They were not, corrupt rulers trying to, rule for power and prestige and to, abduct all the wealth of the society for their own sense enjoyment. They were pure devotees of the Lord. So, being great devotees, they were desiring to have darshan of the Lord. So once Narada Muni came to King Indradyumna, and King Indradyumna asked, I want to see the Lord. Where I can see? So Narada Muni said, explain. That in the material world, on this earthly planet, there is one place that the Lord eternally resides. He is there for the whole duration of the universe. And that is Nilachala Valley. On the coast of the ocean in Orissa, there is a Nilachala, a blue mountain. And in this blue mountain area, the Lord is residing. It's a very dense, heavy jungle. There's no clear way to get there. But I have some coordinates, some map of how to go. So you can go and you can see the Supreme Lord there in a very beautiful form. So King Indradyumna became very enthusiastic. So he called his topmost Pandit by the name of Vidyapati. He asked Vidyapati. He's extremely intelligent. He was a sannyasi, great servant of the Lord, and great servant to the king. So he asked Vidyapati, you please go find this deity and find the coordinates, how we can go, make some arrangements, how we'll stay when we go, come back, and then we'll all go together. So Vidyapati was very excited. So immediately he left. And he began a very long journey. A few months journey. This is not taking airplane or train or bus. This is walkie-talkie. So going through different jungles and areas. And Narada Muni had given him some clues. You have to cross one big river called the Mahanadi River. It's a very holy river. And it also comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, this great river. It's a very wide river in Orissa, almost 7-8 kilometers wide. So this river had to be crossed. So Vidyapati reached the bank of the river, and after some effort was able to cross. And he was trying to figure out which of these areas is Nilachal. So many mountains, some are looking blue, not sure. But Narada Muni had given one indication that when you reach the forest, where the jungle, where this Nil Madhav is staying, you'll note one thing, that there is no envy in this jungle, even amongst the animals. So as he's walking, he saw one interesting sight in the corner. He saw one deer kissing a tiger. Okay, no envy here. This must be this Nilachal. So he began to inquire, but this is a dense jungle, not so much population, and he's making his way, and he finds some local village tribal people, and he asks, I'm looking for the Lord, you know anything? Nobody knew anything, but they said, you go to our leader, his house is just down the street, he has a big house, and he must be knowing something, he's all very wise, very intelligent. So you go ask him. So they gave him the name. His name was Vishwavasu. So Vidyapati makes his way to the home of Vishwavasu, knocks on the door, and his daughter Lalita answers. And Vishwavasu was taking rest in the middle of the day. So he's inquiring, what's going on? Well, Vishwavasu had a unique schedule. He would leave the home every evening around 6 o'clock, 6:30. And then he would come back early in the morning just before sunrise. And when he would come back, his body would be so fragrant of beautiful flowers and scents that nobody could see or imagine where it's coming from. And then he would take bath, take some prasad and rest. And then he would wake up again in the early evening, get up, take bath, and leave again. And like this every day. And his daughter Lalita, during the day, she would go into the forest. She would gather different flowers, different fruits, different things for the offering. She would make some garlands, nice arti tray, all the paraphernalia. She would keep it ready. And by evening, she would finish. Vishwavasu would wake up. He would take everything and leave. Nobody would know where he was going. Nobody know what he was doing. Complete secrecy. So this was going on. So when Vidyapati reached, Vishwavasu was sleeping. When Vishwavasu woke up, Lalita said, some sannyasi has come. So Vishwavasu said, okay, it is late. I'll talk to him tomorrow. And he got and left. So Vidyapati thought, I missed him. And by the time he came back in the morning, and Vidyapati would wake up, Vishwavasu went to sleep, and like this, they kept missing each other. 1 day, 2 days, almost 1 week passed. So Vidyapati is making some plan now. He says, okay, I'm not getting the attention of Vishwavasu. Something he knows, so this must be my place. So he decides, okay, I'll marry his daughter. So he's sannyasi. He said, okay, if to see the Supreme Lord, if I have to give up my sannyas ashram, no problem. When Krishna says, Sarva Dharmam Prityaja, you abandon everything. Vidyapati was ready to do that. So the proposition was made. Vidyapati proposed to Vishwavasu, I'd like to marry your daughter. He was very happy. Nice devotee had come. How else he was going to find somebody to marry in the deep jungle? He thought, wow, Krishna is very kind. And so he was very happy. And so they became married. So Vidyapati began to think, okay, now how am I going to find out what is going on? So now nobody is knowing why he is going every evening. Nobody is knowing where he is going. Because he was the only pujari of Nilmada. And this deity of the Supreme Lord is so beautiful. It's compared to blue jewels. The deity made of jewels. So gorgeous. Very sweet deity. Even the demigods would come each night to watch Vishwavasu worship this Nilmada. And Vishwavasu was not some trained pandit. He did not go to Gurukul. He was doing according to whatever he understood. But Nilmada was so attached to his service. He said, someday, if someone comes to know that you are serving me, I'll vanish. I'll leave. Because I'll only take your service. But if someone else comes to see, they'll not allow you to continue, so I'll leave. So Vishwavasu was very protective of this information. He didn't want to tell anybody. Because he knew as soon as anybody else saw this Nilmada, then he would leave and vanish. So Vishwavasu was operating in top secret. Even Lalita did not know. Once she asked, and he became so angry that she didn't even utter the idea ever again. Not wanting to make her father upset. So Vidyapati is trying to think how I'm going to find out what is going on. So he said, okay, one day Lalita comes to serve prasad to Vidyapati. And he says, nope, I'm not eating. I'm fasting. So what? You cannot fast? It is my duty to feed you. You cannot fast. Said, nope, I'm not eating. Why? Yes. Because I want to know from your father why he is going each night
and where he is going. Two things. Where and why. He didn't know. I cannot ask. Last time I asked, big slap. No. Okay, no problem. I'm done. I won't eat. So then Lalita says, what to do? So then she's also says, okay, you'll not eat, I'll not eat. I'm fasting. So Vishasu woke up, saw that none of them had taken prasad. What? Why are you not eating? Lalita says, well, I'm fasting. We are both fasting. Why are you fasting? What do you want? You're my daughter. Anything you want, I'll give you. Anything. So Lalita says to Vishasu, yes, my Vidyapati, he wants to know two things. Where you are going and why. Nope, that I'll not tell. Then I'll fast. Good, you go fast. Vishasu, I will not tell. But Vishasu becoming angry, then he settled down a little bit. He realized, this is my only daughter. I cannot let her. She said, I'll fast till death if I need to. So finally, after some lamentation, he was in great pain. He said, okay, I'll tell. So he tells Lalita that I'm going each evening to serve Nilamada. Where I'm going, it's a very unclear road through the jungle. It's not marked. I cannot describe completely, but it's up on the hill. I'm going every night. That's it. Okay. So she goes back to Vidyapati, tells where Vishasu is going and why. Now eat? Nope, I'll not eat. What? Doesn't know. Now you ask your father, you tell him, I want to go with him. How that will happen? No, I cannot do that. I'm scared. Okay, no problem. Fast till death. So she says, okay. So Lalita goes to Vishasu. He wants to come with you. Are you crazy? No, get out. Vishasu then calms down after some time. Says, this is ridiculous. I told you, I gave you two answers. Now you want more? What's next? No, this is it. So after great pain, he says, okay, I'll take him tonight. I'll tie a cloth around so he cannot see. I'll take him, I'll show him, and bring him back. That's it. So Vidyapati became ecstatic. And Lalita became happy. She got her husband back, and everything is back to normal on her prasad. So that night, Vishasu took Vidyapati, tied tight, could not see anything, where he was going, and went through dense jungle, 4 or 5 hours, walked a long distance through the jungle. They went, and as they were approaching, Vidyapati began to smell the scent of the Lord. So sweet and captivating. His senses were beginning to go crazy. Wow, where is this coming from? And finally they reached, and when he removed the covering, Vidyapati went into ecstasy, seeing the beautiful form of Nilamada. Nilamada was being worshipped by Vishwavasu. Vishwavasu was not trained, so he's offering, ghee wick first, then incense, then chamar, then fly. He is doing according to his law. But he is watching Nilamada reciprocating with Vishwavasu so much, enjoying this worship. And it goes to show that when we worship the Supreme Lord, it is not about the rituals. It is about what is in the heart. Yes, we have processes and rituals to follow for the purpose of fine-tuning the heart. But ultimately, it is the mood of devotion that matters. And Vishwavasu was serving with so much love. The animals were coming and observing this worship. And even Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, all the great demigods would come and watch each night Nilamada being worshipped by his beloved devotee, Vishwavasu. And Vidyapati was in ecstasy, watching. After morning was coming, tied back up, and they came back home. So now Vidyapati had accomplished his mission. Several months had passed. King Indraduna is back home wondering, is Vidyapati ever going to come back? So he began to think, how I'll leave. So he stayed a few more days, not wanting to make it obvious what his plan was. And after a few days, he asked for permission to leave for some time. Said, I'll come back. And thus Vidyapati left. And he ran back to Avanti to see King Indraduna. And there he began to narrate what he saw. And everyone hearing became so enthusiastic to go see this Nilmada, hearing about his beauty, hearing about his beautiful fragrances, how sweet he was, this dense forest, wonderful place that he was being worshipped on top of this hill. And like this, all the residents became anxious. So Queen Gundicha was ready to go, King Indradumna was ready to go, and all the residents, the whole kingdom basically left everything. They said, forget this palace kingdom, and they began to walk. Big, hundreds of thousands of people were going and making their way. So you can imagine that large of a party, how much logistics is required. Traveling through the jungle, food, camping, just to cross one river, how many boats are needed, like this. So after a long time, they finally reached the Mahanadi River. And just crossing that river took several weeks, because how many can go at a time like this? They're going and crossing, and finally, after several weeks, now months have passed, they finally reach the other side, and they began to enter the realm, the region of Nilachal. And they were very happy. King Indradumna was excited. You can imagine after great effort how excited he was. And they began to walk. And then one sound, this Akashvani came. And it said, Nil Madhav is left. King Indradumna became crushed. What? He has already left. He is gone. All this effort, we have all come. Now we cannot see our beloved Nil Madhav. So Narada Muni was there with them. He said, okay, let us see. Let us continue on. And something will happen. So they carried on with some hope on the words of Narada Muni. And they went and they reached this Nilachal Dham, right now where Jagannath is. And they made one camp area. That camp was right exactly where Gundicha temple is today. So there they made a camp. And there Narada Muni advised that you do one yagya. Not one yagya, but you do 108 Ashwamedha yagyas. So King Indradumna, being a king, he was king of virtually all of India at this time. Very powerful. So he arranged a giant sacrifice. A huge yagya was performed. And from this yagya, one Nrsimhadev manifested. Self-manifested Nrsimhadev. And this Lord Nrsimhadev manifested. And they were very, very happy. King Indradumna gave millions of cows in charity. And thus, they were satisfied. And then another Akashvani came. Another transcendental sound. And he said, my dear king, I have left as Nilamada. But I am coming in another form. In a giant log. I am just floating down, and you come and pick me up at this particular place. Is Monkey Mohan. It's where this river empties into the ocean. You come there, and you retrieve this log. That is me, and you make deities from that. So King Indradumna became very enthused, very excited. Actually, if you've gone to Gundicha temple, you see behind Gundicha temple there's a Sarovar. It's called Indradumna Sarovar. This Sarovar, how it was formed, King Indradumna was so opulent that when he gave millions of cows away, first they were staying in one area for some time. So these cows, when they were moving around and passing urine, they made a huge ditch made by all these cows that were given in charity. And that ditch became ultimately filled with water, and still today is there as this Indradumna Sarovar. And right up the kind of alley from there, on the way to Gundicha temple, on the right hand side, this is this Nrsimhadev deity that manifested from this yagya is still there. And you can take darshan of this yagya Nrsimhadev. Very beautiful and powerful thing of Nrsimhadev. So King Indradumna, being enthused, took the whole party and they went to this Monkey Mahan where the river was emptying into the ocean, and they saw, yes, here comes a giant log. That's right. Very ecstatic, very excited. Big festival took place there. And then they began, so okay, let us go retrieve the log. Now you know, wood floating in the river, small child can push it and even move it, right? It's easy to move. So they thought they sent a few men to go and retrieve the log. When they went, it would not budge. They sent a few more men, not budge. 5-6 days passed. They were trying to pull this log out of the water. It would not move 1 inch. So then they brought elephants, big, giant adult elephants, tied to the log, tied to the elephants, hundreds of elephants. And they were moving, and it would not move even 1 inch. They thought, okay, let us bring horses. So then they brought thousands of horses and tied with the elephants. Elephants were pushing, horses were pulling. Nothing. And the whole army came, all the soldiers came. They were tied and trying to pull. We had manpower, horsepower, elephant power. Nothing is working. So 3-4 weeks have passed, and again his attempts are failed. You see how many setbacks he had from the time he crossed the river. Nilamada is gone. Now, after so much effort, they find the log. They cannot bring it out. Setback after setback. The process of devotional service also will face challenges, will face obstacles. But to those who remain determined on the path of bhakti, great rewards are there. So yes, Krishna actually challenges those who are most dear to him to help purify them. Prabhupada would give the example of when you have gold. Inside any amount of gold, there's always some impurities. So how do you remove the other metals from the gold? You have to heat it. You have to put the gold into fire. And then the gold will separate from the other impurities. Similarly, the impurities in the heart, we also have to go through a little bit of fire, a little bit of challenge and test. Doubts, concerns, they'll come. But if we carry forward, that purification will bring us to an even sweeter taste of devotional service. So King Indraduna was frustrated, but Narada Muni was there. And Narada Muni said, okay, listen, you all are great devotees, but you are not the devotees of Nilmada. Nilmada will not come just, out of ordinary endeavors. You must call the devotee of Nilmada. Who is that? Vishwavasu. You go call Vishwavasu. He'll bring out of the water. Oh, good idea. So Vidyapati said, oh, my father-in-law, yes, let's go. So they all went to the house of Vishwavasu. But by the time they reached, barely the house was visible, all the grass was growing, almost a jungle had overgrown. They said, what happened? House is completely abandoned. They began to ask around, what happened? They said, we don't know. Ever since you left Vidyapati, all we could hear was crying and crying and crying. Oh, my Neil Madhav, where are you? Where are you? And after some time, even the crying stopped. We don't know what happened to Lalita and Vishwasu. So King Indraduna thought, again, now we have no hope. Narada said, no, you go and call. Make some big announcements. Post it on WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook. Make some big announcements and see where they are. Call them. So they started, with the big horns. Oh, Vishwavasu, oh, Lalita, oh, Vishwavasu, oh, Lalita. Like this, they're calling. Nobody is coming. Then Indraduna says, it's hopeless. Narada Muni says, you are calling them. They'll not come for them. You call and tell them, Nil Madhav has come. Then they'll come. Okay, so then they go back out. Nil Madhav has come. Oh, Vishwasu, Lalita, Nil Madhav has come. And immediately, 2 skeleton-like figures emerge from the bushes. Just basically bone, little bit of skin, completely emaciated. And they come and we're dancing and dancing. Oh, Nil Madhav, oh, Nil Madhav. And so King Indraduna explains, oh, Vishwavasu, Lalita, Nil Madhav has come, and you can please come and see him. Where is he? You said he's here. No, he's some distance away. Oh, and then they began to cry and cry and cry. They said, what are you crying? He says, you don't know this Neil Madhav is very naughty. He'll run away. You are here. You left him alone. He'll run away. He's mischievous like this. He says, and King says, no. We have tied him with big ropes. Vishnu says, oh, really? Big ropes? He said, yes. Well, Yashoda also tied Krishna with small ropes. And he did not go anywhere. So maybe these big ropes. They began again enthused. Okay, maybe he is there. So Lalita Vishwasu became enthused. And they began to walk to the bank of the ocean river where this log was situated. And from a distance, Vishwasu and Lalita see this log. And they go running. Oh, Neil Madhav, oh, Neil. They are not seeing log. What are they seeing? Neil Madhav. And they jump into the water and they're grabbed. And they take this log and put on their lap and they're, oh, Neil Madhav, what have you eaten all these days? Who has bathed you? Who has dressed you? Just as, a mother who has not seen her child after a long time asks so many, tender questions. Like this, Vishwasu and Lalita are just caressing Neil Madhav and speaking in such love and ecstasy. And they are interacting like this. And now King Indraduna realizes, oh, this is the devotee of Neil Madhav. See, when we see the Supreme Lord, are we really seeing Krishna? Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not. But as we purify our heart, we'll actually see the Supreme Lord manifest. This is not some fictitious or representation. It is the Supreme Lord Himself. But yet our eyes are not trained to see. But in time it will be. So, this Vishwasu and Lalita are playing and they're carrying the log like it's nothing. So King Indra realizes, okay, we have no hope to move this log back to our camp. Only Vishwasu and Lalita can. So they beg, please bring this log back to our camp. So they very easily carrying, dancing. These are two emaciated bodies, no material strength, but full of bhakti. That is the real strength one needs. And so they reach the camp. That campsite again is the area of Gundicha temple. And there Vishwasu is talking to Neil Madhav and petting right at the camp. And there he left his body. He attained perfection, rendering this service of bringing Neil Madhav to this spot. So now the task came. We have to carve the deities. So Narada Muni says, you call some carpenters and they'll carve the deity out of this. So the deity carpenter comes, first carpenter comes, he puts his tool, his tool is shattered. Not even one small. Second carpenter, third, so many carpenters. Nobody's tools could even touch this wood. Again, King Indra says, what? Every time I think I get it, one more challenge, one more setback. So finally, the Lord Himself manifests, the great Vishwakarma, who comes and begins to carve. But he says, okay, I'll carve this deity, but I want 21 days of uninterrupted service. You put me here, close the door, and don't interrupt me. If you stop me anywhere in the middle, I'll just leave. So I said, okay, what about your prasad later, afterwards? Let me focus on this carving of the deity. This is very old, man. So, first day, tuck, 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 tuck. Everybody's just hearing that is like music, transcendental music. Srila Prabhupada once was staying in the Juhu, Hare Krishna land. He was basically staying in an open field. And there was so much construction noise. So the devotee said, we've arranged one nice apartment nearby. Please, Srila Prabhupada, you come and rest there. You won't be disturbed by all the banging and all that. He says, that banging is music to my ears. It is constructing Radha Rasa Bihari's temple. So like that, all King Indraduna, Gundicha, all of them are enjoying hearing this. So day 2, day 3, day 4. Then finally on the 12th day, Everything stops. They don't hear anything. So Queen Gundicha says, King, go in. You must see something has happened. Maybe he died. He has had no prasad, no water, nothing. No, he said 21 days, don't interrupt. And Queen said, no, so much bad omens will come to our family. We'll be responsible for killing someone. You have to use your intelligence. Clearly something has gone wrong. So King Indu said, no, this is not right, but the Queen insisted. So King Induduma finally, at the insistence of Queen Gundicha, on the 12th day, opened and carpenter left. And he saw these half-finished deities. No arms, no legs, body, just basic outline of a face was made. And he says, oh, again, my attempts to bring the Lord have been squashed. Then Narada Muni comes again. And he says, actually, I have seen this form before. And he relayed the pastime of when he saw Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra Mai hearing Mother Rohini speak. He says, that darshan we now have here, this is actually the complete form of the Lord in a very ecstatic mood. It is the rarest of rarest fortune that you have acquired, these deities. So now you must construct a big temple for them. So King Induduma became very enthused. Yes, I finally, after so much effort, have my deities. And so he built a giant temple. Giant temple was constructed after much time. And he said, okay, I'll not have any ordinary installation ceremony. I'll go and call Lord Brahma to come and do the installation. So he had interspace travel visa. So he went to Brahmalok to go see Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma was occupied in some meetings, so he waited a few minutes, and then he came and King Induduma gave the invitation card. Said, please come and install these deities. So Lord Brahma said, great, I'll happily come. But we know a few minutes of Lord Brahma, like millions of years have passed on earth. So meanwhile, on earthly planet, the whole temple was lost. It was buried in the sand. And one king by the name of Galmadha was going on his horse to conquer another land near Orissa. And he's walking on the beach area in the sand, and his horse fell. Now the king's horses never fall. They're wondering, what happened? Nothing in the open beach, nothing there. What tripped? So he said, see, there's some metal object. Pull it out. So they went to pull. It's not coming. Dig more, not coming. Dig. Guys, it's chakra. What's the chakra in the middle of the beach? They kept digging and digging. It was a chakra from the temple that King Induduma built. And so they began to excavate. 190 feet tall, all buried. They dug out. A beautiful temple was emerged. Oh, Lord has given me a temple. He was also a great devotee of Lord Narayan. So he said, okay, I'll install Lord Narayan. So they went into the temple room and they saw these 3 wood deities, some dolls. I don't know. Okay, take them out, put them in the storage room, and let's install Lord Narayan. So Galmadha was worshipping Lord Narayan this way. Many years have passed. And King Indudumna comes down with Lord Brahma. And he comes to enter the temple, and the guards say, well, what are you doing? He says, this is my temple. Who are you? I'm King Indudumna. I says, we don't know any King Indudumna here. We have no records. These millions of years have passed. He says, this is Galmadha's temple. Forget Galmadha. I built this temple. And an argument happens. It's not being settled. Lord Brahma makes his case. No, not happening. Finally, Galmadha comes. King Indudumna there. They're arguing, whose temple is this? Whose temple is it? No resolution. Then one crow is sitting on a tree. And this crow says, actually this temple is the rightful owner of, or the rightful owner is King Indudumna. And Galmadha, who are you, crow? You're speaking now? Like a human? Who are you? He says, oh, so this crow jumps into Rohini Kund and comes back out is Lord Narayan, Chaturbuj, four-armed Lord Narayan. Says, now you know who is speaking. The Supreme Lord is speaking. So then Galamada realized, oh, this is actually King Indradyumna's temple. So Indradyumna goes in and he goes to the altar. Where's the deities? Now he has lost the deities. So many obstacles. So he says, get out, take out this Lord Narayan, and brought Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram, Mother Subhadra, and installed them nicely. And actually, if you go to Jagannath temple today, still, if you go from the main Simadivada gate, and you go on the left side, you'll see this beautiful Lord Narayan deity, a very big deity. Remember, the first deity you pay obeisances to, that is actually Galamada's Lord Narayan. So he is standing outside the temple now, and Lord Krishna, of course, Krishna and Narayan, all in one and the same. But it's a sweet pastime. So Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram, and Mother Subhadra were very elaborately installed by Lord Brahma in an exquisite ceremony, and everything was very, very festive. And being installed, Lord Jagannath became very happy, and he said to King Indradyumna, "I'm very happy and pleased with your determination." See, Krishna is pleased with our determination. Yes, we'll have struggles, we'll have obstacles. But no, it is Krishna's mercy that is always with us. And if we remain steadfast, determined, Krishna always will reward. And he'll give everything and more than we could ever have imagined. We just have to remain fixed in the process. And by King Indradyumna's determination, so many setbacks. We would have quit at what point in the journey? Many times before, but he kept going. And that is the importance of Guru in life. Right? Narada Muni was there, constantly helping him, giving him wisdom. To keep going, have faith. Do this. We'll be challenged. We'll find opportunities where we may lose our confidence. That is where Guru Tattva comes into our life and embraces us in the path. And that is Narada Muni for King Indradyumna. So Lord Jagannath was very pleased. And so he told King Indradyumna, "You asked some boon from me. I'm very happy how you endeavored for me." So King Indradyumna asked for a very interesting boon. He says, "I want the benediction that I have no children. No sons, no daughters." And Queen Gunicha is behind. She's like, "What? How you can ask for such a boon? That's not a boon. That's a curse. How you can ask for no offspring?" And Queen Gundicha is crying and crying and crying. And so Lord Jagannath, being compassionate, asking why you would ask for such a thing. And King Indradyumna said, "My dear Lord, you are a very beautiful form. You are living in a very beautiful temple. I don't want any of my ancestors, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, thinking that this is my Lord. This is my temple. No, we are all yours. I don't want any dynasty to claim that you are the Lord of the universe. You don't belong to any family. You don't belong to any sect. You don't belong to any race. You are the Father of the universe. And so for that, I don't want any dynasty to claim that this is my deities. We are all yours." So King Indradyumna showed very pure consciousness. And so Lord Jagannath was very, very pleased. So he tells Queen Gunicha, though, now he has to pacify her, what to do. So he says, "Okay, me, my brother and sister, we are your children. So we are your children." And Queen Gunicha says, "Oh, that's really nice of you to say. But when we die, who is going to offer the Pindadan? And who is going to do all the ceremonies so that we can read?" Lord Jagannath says, "I'll do." Lord Balaram says, "I'll do." So still to this day, every year, Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram, and Mother Subhadra, or Lord Jagannath and Lord Balaram offer on this Pindadan. Every year they do for Queen Gunicha. The queen said, "Yeah, that is nice, but I am living here in the temple at their camp. You are in your big temple here. But if you are my children, you'll come and visit me once in a while." So Lord Jagannath says, "Okay, fine. Once a year I'll come and I'll stay in your home." So that is actually why Lord Jagannath leaves Jagannath temple, and for 1 week he stays in Gundicha temple, as he's fulfilling the promise that he would once a year go and stay in his mother's womb. So like this, he pacified King Indraduna, pacified Queen Gundija, and then King Indraduna, feeling a little bit bold, asked for one more benediction. And this is the benediction we are all the beneficiaries of. He said that, my dear Lord, I have worked so hard to manifest this temple in you. I have a strong desire to serve you unlimitedly. And I want to feed you and feed you and feed you. So I want one benediction that I'll feed you, and before your hands are dry, you must eat again the next offering. And so like this, basically you will eat all day long. So still to this day, when the offerings come, they'll remove them, they'll offer ashman to the deities and dry, and before they finish drying the hand, the whole next set of offerings are there. And like this all day long. Lord Jagannath is honoring and taking the Bhoga and manifesting unlimited amounts of Mahaprasad. So one of the famous features, as I mentioned early on, we are so lazy that we don't even want to chant the holy names of the Lord. But by honoring some prasad from Lord Jagannath and taking darshan, coming into his vision, one can actually then acquire the taste and ability to take to the process of chanting. So this Mahaprasad is something that's very prominent, a great form of mercy. So this is the great fortune that we have by the blessings of Narada Muni, who tricked Krishna into manifesting this deity. So the way it works in the timeline, Lord Brahma lives for 100 years. So for the first 50 years of his life, Nil Madhav is present. So the Lord is present in this world eternally. Eternally meaning for the duration of the universe. So for the first 50 years, he is present as Nil Madhav. And for the next 50 years, he is present as Lord Jagannath. So at this form, so we know Lord Brahma has passed 50 years because now we have the presence of Lord Jagannath. And remember, Lord Brahma's years, 12 hours is like 8 billion years, so, or 4 billion years, 4.3 billion years, a long timeline. But this Lord Jagannath manifests after in the second half of Lord Brahma's life, and will stay until the end of the universe's destruction. Actually, at the time of dissolution of this universe, the water of dissolution emerges from this Rohini Kund that is just right outside the Jagannath temple, right in the within the compound, right out between that and Vimala Devi's temple. There's a small kund there. From that kund, the waters of devastation emerge, and the whole universe will wrap up. But until that point, Lord Jagannath will be present. So we're very fortunate. And it's by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we have come to know Lord Jagannath. And that Lord Jagannath is now present all over the world. And there are Rath Yatra festivals throughout. And we've been talking in our Bhakti Riksha, we'll discuss more on Saturday, some of the glories of Lord Jagannath, and specifically the benedictions and blessings one achieves by serving Lord Jagannath, by participating in Jagannath Rath Yatra Festival, and many, many more. But it is unlimited merciful, and so by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, we have the opportunity to obtain this utmost blessing of seeing this beautiful form of the Lord and taking darshan of the Lord and receiving his blessings, so that we can take to the process very nicely of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Jagannath Swami ki jai, Subramai ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Koti Vaishnava. Any comments, questions, discussion?
Earlier you mentioned that this story is not in Shastra anywhere. The reason
the story is in Shastra. It comes in the Skanda Purana.
Okay.
But the description of the form of Lord Jagannath is not, because again, it's a very confidential form that only by Narada Muni's blessings became very known. Otherwise, it was not intended to be, because it's a very intimate expression very intimate moment in Lord Krishna's life. But Narada Muni, being our benefactor, Param Guru, was bestowing a blessing upon us. So that is why it's not so detailed described.
Thank you so much, Pooji. Nice story. One question, Pooji. So the Rath Yatra, when that does happen, when Lord Jagannath is going to the mother house or when coming back?
So the Rath Yatra is when Lord Jagannath is going to his mother's house, Gudicha temple. That is the Rath Yatra. And then there's a return Yatra also that takes place. But the main Rath Yatra is him going to the hill. And like anything with Krishna, there are many layers of the story. So that is one layer of Lord Jagannath going to his mother's home. But the mood of Lord Jagannath when he is going is actually the mood of Krishna going back to Vrindavan. So he's considering Gundicha temple to be like Vrindavan. So this is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And when Krishna met the residents of Vrindavan in Kurukshetra during the eclipse, particularly the gopis, they put Krishna on a chariot and they started to drag him back to Vrindavan. So this Rath Yatra is actually symbolizing, returning Krishna to his, most favorite abode of Sri Vrindavan. Of course, which he never actually leaves, but in Leela he shows leaving. So there are a few different layers of this Rath Yatra festival.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's why we say this festival is millions of years old, because it began immediately upon being established in the Jagannath temple. The next year he went to Gundicha temple, and that's when Rath Yatra started. So we may know by our time cycle, a couple thousand years, but actually this has been going on for millenniums. Any other questions or comments?
Pooji, can I ask you one?
Yes, of course.
So this Jagannath Puridham, is that part of this ISKCON? Is considered as a part of this ISKCON group or is it outside of this ISKCON?
No, it's the pandas, the devotees who are worshiping Lord Jagannath are coming in a family lineage from frankly King Indudumya and all of the, not his direct family, but from that era.
Okay.
And so there's a whole lineage that are worshiping Lord Jagannath. So it is not an ISKCON temple, but it is his own temple. But of course, we all devotees go
Yeah.
and participate in it.
So can I ask you one more?
Yeah.
So I know ISKCON celebrates Lord Jagannath Yatra in like no other festival, like I would say, other than Janmashtami. Other temples, there are so many other temples. Do they also celebrate this kind
Some
of
do. Yeah, there are other temples who celebrate that or some other form of it, but it's not so popular. Srila Prabhupada really inaugurated the Rath Yatra festival outside of Jagannath Puri.
Oh,
And there's some little bit of concern or debate about that, whether other festivals can be considered Rath Yatra. It does, for this purpose it's not so important. But Rath Yatra, the Rath Yatra festivals are primarily a feature that you see in ISKCON temples, but some other temples also run, like we have local temples here now who are also performing wonderful Rath Yatra.
There is Rath Yatra in Ahmedabad.
There is Jagannath temple.
It is
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
no, there's a by different group of
Yeah.
people doing big Rath Yatra. Even in Petra,
There are many others.
so in Gujarat, there's so many big cities. They do have their Rath Yatra, which is not ISKCON.
Oh,
And
okay.
ISKCON has also, in those cities, the temple, they also do the Rath Yatra. But besides the other temples who do the Rath Yatra, they actually do the Rath Yatra on the day of Rath Yatra in Puri. So they coincide on the same day.
Same day.
Versus ISKCON, we do it other days, But
Wow.
there has been Rath Yatra by the other temple.
Okay.
In Gujarat we have it.
Yeah, I
I
heard
don't know
many other
other part
places.
of
Yeah.
the state, but in Gujarat we definitely know.
In India, same day is usually done.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, same day.
actually, even Puri administration, they are also pushing that way that we should not do
Yeah.
whenever you want to have it, etc. That's fine. ISKCON has established for the purpose of us to learn and divorce this thing, devotion purpose. So it is not a problem. We can celebrate any time. So Delhi, there are so many Rath Yatras goes on every year, so many of them,
Yeah.
one by one, continuously. But there are so many temples. Every temple alternately they do either no.
Yeah.
So the Rath Yatra is going on every few days, or few months.
There are over 500 Rath Yatra festivals around the world.
Yeah,
It's
in
all by the
India,
mercy
they
of
change
Srila
the name
Prabhupada.
of the Rath Yatra. In India, yeah. So
It's okay, but
Yeah.
that's all part of the Srila Prabhupada's
Srila
mercy.
Prabhupada
He has established the accessibility to Lord Jagannath to all of us, which otherwise ordinarily may not be accessible. So we are grateful for his magnanimity. We're not deserving of it, but he cut corners for us. He makes us. He gives us every opportunity, and it's for us to take advantage of it. Not cut corners, not the right way to say it. But
Jagannath
he
came-
makes exemptions.
Yeah.
He begs Krishna, okay, please allow, even though we are not qualified. We're not qualified to even take this process. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, it can happen. So we're grateful that we can have so many Rath Yatra festivals. And so please participate. There's unlimited blessings for all of us to participate in this Rath Yatra festival. And we can participate in so many ways. Just going and dancing for 1 second in front of the Lord is participation. Pulling his chariot is participation. Honoring his khichdi bundi pickle fryams is participation. Bringing your friends and family members is participation. Helping to set something up or break something down or clean something is participation. If you want to sponsor something, there's unlimited ways. No one is precluded from small baby to very old. Everyone can participate in some way, and it is all loved by the Supreme Lord. So please come and join together and enjoy this Rath Yatra festival. It is really a rare opportunity. Because we get to do it every year, because it's so prevalent, we sometimes don't appreciate actually the extraordinary fortune we have. Too? How much King Indudumna struggled just to obtain darshan of Lord Jagannath. We just go to the temple and we see a beautiful Lord Jagannath manifest. Or to go to Jagannath Puri and go, it's a big process. But we are so fortunate that Lord Jagannath has come here to see all of us. And they were the first deities here in Detroit. The first deities in all of Michigan, any temple, was Lord Jagannath. So these deities are very, very powerful. Whatever spirituality is happening in this area, it is emerging. They are the source of it all. And the first deity is established.
Then only the main deity came to it. Kujibika deity.
Kunjabihari came afterwards, then Gaurita.
Gaurita. That also installed by Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. His Gaurnitai deities were the last deities installed in the world by Srila Prabhupada. Wow. Srila Prabhupada installed so many deities. Our Gaurnitai deities in Detroit were the last deities he has personally installed. And they are standing right here. And I desires all of us will go one day and serve them, aid them, dress them like so many devotees. Raghav Priya Prabhu right now is relishing that service every Monday. He's like in a whole different universe, enjoying serving. And I desire that all of you will come and do that, participate in that service tomorrow. Why not? Lord Jagannath can make it happen. Lord Jagannath can make it happen. Just desire. It is the best one can accomplish in life. Anything else?
Okay, Lord Jagannath pastime. There are many stories like pastimes, mystical pastimes, reciprocation of the Lord. Would you like to share one, Jagannath, or here in Detroit, Puri, about the glories of Mahaprasad, of how it become Mahaprasad? Anything, Prabhuji?
Lord Jagannath is very interactive. His reciprocation it's really amazing. You know, we have lots of doubts. Right? We doubt, is this really the Lord? Or is it, we have doubts. That's the nature of the conditioned mind. But Lord Jagannath smashes those doubts with love. He smashes them with love. And he's done so many things. I told this pastime in the picnic, but I'll tell it again now. That this is about our local Lord Jagannath, and it has to do with Prasad. So Lord Jagannath, the festival we know is very, very sweet, and it takes lots of devotees and lots of volunteers. And one year, one devotee was volunteering, and he was so sincere in volunteering. And on Saturday, we were hanging up all the signs and everything. And so he had the opportunity to hang the signs of the menu card for the food court. So he's looking at this menu and he is just like dripping from his mouth. Oh, can I have this many kinds of dosa? Gobi Manchurian? This? Nacho? All these foods will be there? He couldn't believe it. They're like, no, yeah, all these items will be there. He's like, I'm coming, I'm just going to enjoy the food court. I want to eat, and he's like, I want to eat each of these items of the food court. He was going on and on like this on Saturday. So he was expressing his desire. And he began serving, and he reached the site Sunday morning very, very early, like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, and was serving all day. And by like 5 o'clock in the evening, 12 hours later, 10 hours later, it asked, did you enjoy the food court? He says, no, I didn't get time. He was so immersed in service, he didn't even have time to take any of the items. I felt really bad. And my brother felt really bad. So we said, okay, you come home and we're going to make the food court for you. Because he was so sweet, so nicely serving. So he was serving, and it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And the whole site had been cleaned up. Everything was loaded in the truck. So after we load everything in the truck, we do one final drive around, just make sure everything has been picked up, nothing is missed, nothing left behind. And every year, nothing that we ever find. Even though we do it every year, we never find anything. So my brother is driving with his devotee in one cart, and they're driving around, and they're going this way. And my brother, let's check the DD tent one more time, make sure. But the DD tent, the way it's set up, you can see from afar there's nothing there because everything is open. It's not like you have to look. But anyways, he went, and he told his devotee, he said, just make sure they got everything underneath the stage. And he said, yeah, I already checked. He said, yeah, just check, make sure everything underneath the stage. So he goes to the side where underneath Lord Jagannath was sitting. And underneath his platform, he opens a thing, and there's a tray. And that tray was at the beginning of Rath Yatra, every item from the food court we make, and then we offer to Lord Jagannath. It goes on the chariot. Now that tray is like the most sought after. Like it's gone in a millisecond after it comes off the Rath. It doesn't last even a half a second. That whole tray was intact. It was kept underneath Lord Jagannath. So many devotees had gone and emptied that tent. And of course, if anybody would have seen it, they would have taken it. But it was kept for who? Is one devotee who was wanting to have the food court. and he was beyond floored. And how is this possible? And we were all floored. This is impossible. You know, so many years doing Rath Yatra, I've never seen that. But you see, Lord Jagannath, he had his desire, but he stayed focused. He got so immersed in service. And Lord Jagannath, he never imagined he would get Mahaprasad from Lord Jagannath of every single item from the food court. And that's how Lord Jagannath reciprocates. There are so many more stories we could tell about our local Lord Jagannath. Of course, in Puri, Lord Jagannath also has many, many pastimes. I think on Saturday we'll discuss some of those pastimes. Many sweet pastimes, how he was enjoying, Gita Govind by one farmer's daughter. I think I might have told last week or sometime how he is enjoying the Bilna from his devotees. So we'll tell some more of Lord Jagannath's pastimes. But there are so many really strong reciprocations. And I promise you, you start serving Lord Jagannath in his Rath Yatra, and throughout the year, you'll experience wonderful reciprocation of your own. So, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Any other thing anyone wants to share? Okay. We're good?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for
Thanks
coming,
for your time.
coming every year and giving this nectar to all of us.
I'm giving it to myself only. Enjoying the Krishna Katha. Thank you very much. Jagannath, Swami, Baldev, Mai Subhadra ki
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava.
Jai.